Sorry, just remembered. Keep on going.
Abusing the three treasures, although abusing, I don't like that word, it's too strong. And that's where you have opposites occurring. You have the subject and the object, dualism, and this and that, and me and them. That sort of dualism occurring. And of course, out of that, it goes back to what I was saying initially about the idea of identity, and this is me, and I have created this idea, and by making the three treasures into a sort of an intellectual thing. That's what they're meaning by conceptualization, or that's my reading of it anyway. It's not accepting that we can't express it, we can't understand it. It is about accepting that we don't know, and it is just this. This is it. Yeah, and I had some thoughts or questions around the idea of the body, but Kirk, you said we're going to come to that in terms of Dogen's quote.
Yeah.
I think Alex might have something to say.
Oh, so intuitive. Yeah, I think the Bodhidharma one just jumped out to me because I feel like I've been kind of using the precepts, or the idea of the precepts, as like a rod to beat myself with and like judge myself and be like, God, you're like so far away from like understanding any of this. It's really tragic. And just all these like terrible like judgments on myself, which I feel like is, yeah, not having, or it is having ideas of like sages and ordinary people. Yeah, that, I don't know, kind of bums me out to realize that.
I really appreciate the words being said here, and I think that this whole idea that the precepts are some truth out there can be really harming. The precepts are what happens in our life. The Dharma is what happens in our life. That is how we say, I take refuge as a Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. There is no Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha without you, and your life is your life that brings these things into being. And this is, the easy metaphor to bring into this is the lotus in the midst of the fire. That the lotus does not arise out of the mud as some pure thing above us that we have to attain to, but the lotus occurs in the passions of life, in the midst of the fire of our lives. And so to have a sense of sages and ordinary beings, becomes the sages occur in the life of ordinary beings. and that in the midst of our life, this is where it takes fruit, and it's not going to be perfect. It's always, as Dogen said, one continuous mistake after another. That is the life of the Dharma. But we burn with this is how we give light. To burn is to give light. This is how we wake up, is to be in the midst of our ordinary lives. To be in accord and at ease in the sensations and the seasons up and down of our lives. To be in accord with that. This is such a easy thing to say. Not so easy to always understand. But once you do, it really, dualistic dualistic notions of ordinary beings as sages is really at the heart of this whole idea of separation we've been dealing with in all the precepts. We've been talking about killing, that sense of a self and other, that separation. All the separations come down to this sense of this moment of experience. Am I completely alive in it? Maybe someone can say something that further explains what I just said.
I have something to share. We'll see if it explains what you just said. It might not. But the I was just imagining like what what kind of person doesn't hold dualistic concepts of sages and ordinary beings? And I thought of like a child and just an ignorant person, like and sages or gurus or what have you, like, they'll often have their followers or like lots of people around them, you know, being really, really respectful and, lining up to see them and, saying certain things or bowing or whatever. But like a child or like someone who's totally ignorant of this person being a sage might just come up and be like, hey, what's up? Like, how you doing? And it's not to like um idolize ignorance or idolize like infancy, but like imagining someone who hasn't done the thing of going chunk, like you're over there and I'm over here, and so I better like, be in a certain way. And there's something I don't know, like that feels like something to remember in myself.
Mm.
Mhm.
I can't,
Yeah.
I can't forget what I've learned and what I know, but I I can still show up newly and like let go of the
Mhm.
like stop doing this again and again.
Mhm. Some of you know the translation of the Shodoka that's done by Bobo Hearn, and the first line is, "Here comes Mr. Natural, doing things as he pleases," and that's ideal, you know. Sometimes that Mr. Natural or Mrs. Natural or Ms. Natural or is wearing robes, and sometimes it's a child, and but being natural in each moment as it is. Yeah, that's really well put. Thank you, Karen. I think you said it better than me.
I was reflecting on, like, from the start of this session, you said, Kirk, about how this experience of Jukai, for, how it's been. And I looked back to the 2 or 3 months since we started, or how long has it been? And I remember that at that point, I was looking at the precepts as, yeah, like I said, something out there, and in a way separate from me. And I really appreciate what Alex said, like, oh, I'm so far from following this precept. Um, but over time, and especially with the help of some of the books that we've been reading, Nancy Mujo Baker's approach of looking at oneself and examining in what ways we are not in how we're violating the precept. And I feel like I this sounds a little bit wonky maybe, but the particular way that I violate the precept is exactly my understanding of the precept at this stage. And it's not always going to be like that. It's changing, it's growing. But it doesn't mean that I'm violating the precept and I'm a terrible person, because I'm the opposite of what the precept is. But that's how I am right now.
Mhm.
I don't know, like, for example, maybe I lie. I'm a liar. But that is my understanding of not taking up the way of yeah. And I feel like it's something that's ongoing. So um maybe not making the distinction between the sage and the ordinary person is simply acknowledging that everything is impermanent. And it's always going to be a journey.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And to acknowledge that this is a practice. This isn't a test of whether we're liars, killers, and stealers, and all the other nasty things we're supposed to not be. But I take up the way of not doing it, and it's a way because it's ongoing and imperfect. We're taking this up as a practice. Yeah. Yeah. So we actually can't ever violate unless we just decide not to practice. But to acknowledge that you are a liar, as we all are to some degree, you know, is to take up that way. Hmm. Should we take up?
Um,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, like I've really enjoyed doing the precepts because it has kind of shined that light on all these things that I could be doing better in my life. But it was kind of, so I've appreciated it for that. I don't really feel that bad about my behavior. I haven't seen it as like a spotlight on my bad behavior and felt bad about that, because I think I've also been having discussions with one of my best friends about the precepts as I go to, and so, and like for instance the one about not lying, she's like, mate, I lie all the time, and then she starts like listing all the stuff that she lies about, and it just makes me realize that these are all like they're shared human conditions. And this is what I've found really fascinating with the group too, because like, we've all got our own takes on these, and we've all got our slightly different things, how we are perceivably doing things a little bit wrong. But that's what makes us so beautiful as humans, is that we are imperfect. And, and I think as long as we're kind of like striving to do better, like we're never going to be perfect, but if we're striving to do better, and even if we just like, do do minor attempts here and there of being like a bit better to the people around us, then I think that that's as great as what we could hope for, I guess. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, that really leads us well into Dogen's words, Jen, if I could. Just that as Kieran said, the slightly bombastic. But I'll tell you what, this is the very last, these words of Dogen's are the very last koan that you take up in the koan, whole of the koan curriculum. And when I read these, Susan, I was doing with this Susan, she was like, "Oh my God, you came so fully awake with this." Not like I was enlightened, but it really, she could see that this really resonated great deal with me. And so I'd like to just sort of take this apart in terms of what it is a very strong statement, what he's saying. Um, but maybe well, let's just take this up one part at a time. The teisho, the actual body, the teisho you perhaps have read in your reading means the song or the shout that a teacher makes of the Dharma, the full expression, but it's expression of the actual body. And that actual body probably bears some examination. It's this actual body, but this actual body is not separate from anything in the world, anything in the universe. So I'm really talking about the actual body in its fullest sense, and this actual body which shows up as you, as my wife, as the birds in the trees and so forth. This teisho, the actual body, which is an ongoing actual body, and this being in this, taking a shout as this actual body, this is where human eyes gather. This is the harbor and weir. This is the moment of taking refuge again, but in the sense of who we are as living people, how we are at ease in our life, how we are at practice in our life, how we wake up in our life. And this is basically an homage to that practice that we have been, in the summation of the practice, that this is the most important thing of the world. That it finds its home in our essential nature, and we can't ever bring words to it. We can't explain it. So we just accept it with respect and gratitude. For me, I think this sense that the body of practice, the body of congruency, this is both the fulfillment of practice, but it's also the source of the practice at the same time. That whenever we practice at all, we're both fulfilling and taking part in the practice. And our vows and precepts, this is an everyday practice, but it's also the fullness of the the greatest practice that we can have. So that's my 90 seconds on this one. Yeah. What do you think? What comes up for you around this? I particularly like that thing where human eyes gather, this sense of it's not just my eyes. We all are seeing in this into this moment.
I guess that was one of my questions, because why are eyes mentioned as opposed to any other sense?
Sure. It'd be interesting to see some other translations of this. Yeah.
I'm just trying to re-understand what a harbor, what the harbor and the weir is. Is that, I mean, it seems like everything else is a statement about that. Facial, the actual body is the harbor and the weir where the human eyes gather.
Well, the way I'm still settling on it, but it talks about the virtues of the ocean. And when I first read this, I was thinking like the body is a portal, but it's not really the portal. It is, I mean, I don't know, I've got the word anchor. Anchor is in my head as well. Of course, that's related to water, but it's the connection with the universe. Although the universe is our actual body, so it's the connection and the actual universe. That's how I'm sensing it.
Yeah. Well, it finds its virtue in the ocean of our essential nature, right? So it comes out of that ocean as opposed to, yeah.
And it's because I've often thought, because meditating and yoga nidra and many practices are about coming into the body, moving from the mind, coming into the body being, well, I don't know what you call it, the source of relaxation or connection. But I've always been slightly confused about it, because in that sense, it seems to separate mind and body, and that's not the idea. Maybe it's just a yoga way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we're not meant to be the mind or the body, then now I get confused in my words.
Yeah. There is no, without the beginning of Hakuin Zenji Sogen Zazen, without beings, no Buddha. That again, this can only take place in our lives, and what we are is living beings. We are a body, and in Chinese thought, mind and body are one thing. But that it's about activity. It's about being alive. It's about taking action, not standing apart and having opinions about it, but coming back into this present moment. Yeah.
I think I look up what a weir is every time I read this one.
Like a dam.
But yeah, having looked at it again as something that changes the flow of a river, I really like that image. That it's like it doesn't stop the river, it doesn't dam the river. It just changes how the
Often
water
they're like
flows.
little sticks placed in a river that collect the fish. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, not trying to prevent or anything. It's kind of working with it. And then I guess a harbor is like access to water.
In a container, like just like taking refuge in that way. Yeah.
I was thinking of a harbor as shelter, or yes, a safe place. That I feel like that's getting the harbor and the weird bit is the bit that's like gonna unlock this. The teisha of the actual body feels like, I could hear that as, I could understand that as just authentic expression.
Yes,
Like
wholehearted expression.
the cosmos speaks, through all of us. And when that happens, it's compelling. It's compelling to everybody in my experience. Like that's what I'm drawn to. That's what I see other people drawn to, is like people being their authentic selves.
Yeah.
And in my understanding, the most authentic self we can be is the empty one that the cosmos expresses through.
I tell you what, there's a lot to be parsed and understood about the Dogen's quote. I'm wondering. I'm going to be giving my teisho next Saturday on this particularly Dogen quote. So there'll be a chance to ask questions and talk about that more then. But I'm wondering, do we want to take these last 10 minutes and just take some time to write some responses now, like we did last week on this precept of not defaming the three treasures, and see what comes up for you and workshop from there? Would that be a good idea? Okay. Let's just take about 5, 6, 7 minutes, and then we'll check in before we finish on how that's going. we need another minute or so? More than a minute or so? Ah, we have a new preceptor. Hello, Lucky.
So cute, Lucy. Who's this one?
This is Lachlan.
Hi, Lachlan.
Say hello.
Hi,
Hi, Lachlan.
Lachlan. How old are you, Lachlan?
15 months, I think. Yeah.
So cute.
Do you distinguish between ordinary beings and sages, Lachlan?
Don't bring the dualistic concepts in yet.
Yeah.
So, who would like to share? I saw all the microphones turn off just then. Dum, 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 dum.
I think it was only Kieran, so Kieran must be first.
Oh, Bronwyn.
Oh. I can go first, although mine's sort of incomplete, but I'll give it a go. I vow to be and share the three treasures in each moment of my ordinary, everyday, imperfect life.
Oh, beautiful.
I'll read mine. I take up the way of not defaming the three treasures. Why does a feeling of emptiness feel so much like limitless, beginningless love? I don't know, but I have learned that all the precepts gather here, and to step forth in living is to sing this song with all of my heart and body.
Oh, wow.
I'm fighting against inadequacy.
I said I didn't know. Karen?
I was just trying to think of something to say about inadequacy. I didn't. I just rewrote them. I haven't got a response yet. I feel like I need to spend more time with harbors and weirs before I can get very before I have anything to say on this. But I'm noticing that what's written in the precept and by Bodhidharma and Dogen, like I don't I'm not necessarily connecting the connection with the three treasures. For me, the I've been sitting with the Sangha, the Dharma, and the Buddha, and yeah, for me, they're different views I can take, and they're all really important. And I'm not sure what it means to defame them from what's written here.
Okay.
I guess, but maybe I mean, if I take the Sangha for example, it's like if I'm putting the sage on a pedestal and myself down in the pit over there, I kind of forgot that we're a Sangha. We're just a Sangha, right? And if the Dharma's taking a bit longer for me because I've just come back to it today as like understanding the Dharma as the way or the Tao, which makes sense to me, but doesn't necessarily mean I can put it into words. Whereas the Buddha, resting in the Buddha, resting as the Buddha, feels more like resting in my I-ness, allowing my I-ness to be limitless. And so like there's nothing outside of myself. So how could there be a sage and a non being?
I wish you'd put that last line in your precept response. What you just said there is wonderful.
Well, you got it in the recording.
Yeah.
Come back to it.
Thank you for that, Kieran. You can pass if you want, but there is a little bit of time if someone wants to share what they've written. Alex?
I didn't really come up with a like coherent response, but the respecting gratitude was sort of like a flashing light for me. And I think that's sort of where, I don't know, see, it just came across as something that's important and something that I am often lacking or ignoring. Um, I just jotted down something about like not picking and choosing what is worthy of practice, including myself.
Wonderful. Yeah. Good.
I'll share mine. I'm not at all happy with it. I think I need to spend a lot more time on this, and I want to
After the first draft, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to read more about it to get my head around it a bit, because I don't feel like I've fully grasped it. So I've just written, I take up the way of not deframing the three treasures by accepting the way and being present to the all that surround me and connecting to this beautiful world we live in.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Great start. Yeah. Alan, do you want to share?
Yeah. I wrote down, I take up the way of not defaming the three treasures. I listen to the Teisho and allow the teachings to land in my heart and to illuminate the Dharma in my particular way of being. Because without beings, there are no Buddhas. I just copied it from you, that last line.
And I copied it from Hakuin, so fair. Lachlan has beat us all in terms of the eloquence of his presentation.
I wrote, remembering to lovingly attend to the moments as they arise and fade, even in their dying, staying aware with kindness.
Staying aware with kindness. That's lovely. Yeah. So good. Now this is our last of these, the last of our Sunday night things that we have scheduled. We can always decide to do this another time, if we want to debrief or workshop any of the precepts, responses. But also, I didn't know if a couple of you sent in copies of your precept responses so far, and I'm happy to go over those with you individually. So I'm just going to bring up the schedule of things that are happening. The next thing that's going to happen for us is today is so next weekend there's several of you. I don't know if all of you are going to come to a series, and we're going to have lunch together after the series. Jen will be in from Hobart. Where are you
Yeah.
staying?
Sorry?
Where are you
Where am
staying?
I?
Yeah.
My mum lives in like the outer burbs,
Oh.
near like Cheltenham. So I think it's kind of like halfway to Frankston. So I'll stay with her.
Yeah. All right. And then I'll also set up times with each of you to go over both your Dharma responses, but also just to get a little bit more background on your Dharma names. That I think everybody now has sent in. Yeah, I'm looking around. Yep. And then the next time after that, on the 24th of next month, after, and Jen, you won't be here for then, but we're just going to go over the ceremony and where we'll be sitting. I can talk about that right now if you want, but basically we are going to leave, and a few people are going to reset the series, the Zen Center, and there's going to be a circle. You know where those windows, the curved windows are. I'll be sitting there. There'll be a little small altar in front of me, and then you all will be sitting in front of me in a circle, a semicircle in front of me, and then the sangha will be sitting around you. so watching with your backs, and we will enter after everybody else has been seated, and I'll enter last, and I'll be spraying water, and everybody is part of the blessing. And then we'll go through, you've seen some of the ceremony, the bells and when the chants are, and then when we get to the vows, after each one there will be a dong, and I will invite each of you in turn going around the circle to just read off your response. Nelson Foster asked people to memorize them. Don't feel you need to. And then at the end of that, we're going to be doing the ceremony of the rakusu, where we put the rakusus on our head. We chant the verse of the rakusu, which I'll send out to you. You should memorize that. I wear the robe of liberation, the formless field of benefaction, the teachings of the Tathagata, saving all the many beings. And you let the rakusu drop into your hands, and you put it on for the first time with your names. And then there'll be a huge celebration. I think the Rolling Stones are going to come and play it. It's going to be great. Yeah. Any questions about anything though, or any requests for help or thoughts about what would be good moving forward with this?
There's also the Rakasu sewing next Sunday at my place.
Perfect. Yeah, 27th. Yeah.
This isn't related to anything, but I forgot to mention earlier that I was in Japan in a town called Koyasan. There's like a bunch of temples on a mountain, and I walked past one Zen center and I saw a placard that said Jukai ceremony in the basement.
Ah, did you go see it?
I didn't want to intrude, but I was like, yeah, it's happening everywhere.
What was your biggest memory from the trip, Alex?
I did a lot of hiking that was really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I went to Engakuji, where in Kamakura, where Robert Aitken, I think, first studied.
Yes.
That was pretty cool and a really nice temple.
Yeah.
Did you stay at any?
No, the one I was very late booking everything, so it was like over $1,000 for any of the ones left. But I'd love to go back maybe during the winter and get all cozy on top of a mountain.
Cost $1,000 to stay in a temple?
Yeah, I've got these like temple stays where you can stay there, but I think they charge you a lot if you're late booking.
If you want to stay at Ceres, I'll get $50.
Private bench.
Yeah.
I'm curious if anyone else wants to meet up on Zoom again between now and 31st.
I'd be happy to.
I'm open to it.
Yeah, I'm away for a bit, but if I'm around, I'm happy to.
Would you like me to organize this and send out the thing? Would you like me to participate in it, or is this more a thing to do workshop with each other?
Could be either.
Tell you what, I'll send out you have the link. You can just keep on using this link, and yeah, let me know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, cool.
I like having Kirk here. I'm sure we can.
Oh,
manage
thank
that.
you.
All
Oh, you too. Yeah. All right. Well, every party has to have a pooper, so maybe we'll say goodbye for right now.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Night.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Yeah, see ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.